Okay guys, in this video I'm going to run through this habit tracker that I've just drawn, and I'm going to explain kind of my philosophy behind habit trackers in general, how I think it's best to use them, and then I'm going to talk over the very specific ones I've got here, why I've chosen them, what they mean exactly, and I just think it's quite useful to have quite a clear idea of exactly what's put on a habit tracker and how to make those decisions. Because the habits I've got on here, there are a lot that I haven't, there are a lot of things that I haven't put on that you typically assume to be on a habit tracker. And I think it's worth explaining why I've had certain things on it and certain things not on it. And yeah, my kind of philosophy behind it. So I'll run you through it, guys. I mean, just first, before I say anything else, I think the really important thing with a habit tracker is it needs to be on paper. Because I think if it's on paper, you can stick it on your wall and it's much more obvious if you're doing well, or if you're doing poorly, it's much more obvious to see that. And yeah, okay, so let's get into it. So the first thing I've written here is, I'll just read through them and then explain them. So the first one is up before the holy hour. So this is just me being a bit silly, but basically any time before 7 a.m. really, I want to be up early every morning. But what I mean by up early, I mean basically before 7 a.m. in the morning. The reason that I want to be up before 7 a.m. is because any time after 7 a.m. or even 7 a.m. itself you'll know this if you stayed up, if you've woken up early in the morning, it feels quite different to any time before 7 a.m. feels very different. There's something weird in the sort of atmosphere in the air when you're up at kind of 6 a.m. in the morning or 5 a.m. or even earlier. And I think there's a special time where you just have a real clarity of mind and a real willingness just to get down to some work. And so that's why I've put specifically any time before 7 a.m. Now, interestingly, because I did this kind of habit tracker in the past, and I put a separate tracker for the time I wanted to go to bed. And this is clever, this can work, but I actually think it's more important to focus on what time you get up rather than what time you go to bed. Because the truth is, basically what you're doing with a habit tracker is you're incentivizing a certain behavior. And the trouble with going to bed at a certain time is it's not always the right thing to do. Now, I agree you should have a routine, you should have like a wind down routine, stuff like this. But it's I believe you only really should go to bed if you're genuinely tired and you're going to fall asleep within sort of 10 minutes or 15 minutes tops. I think that's how it should be. And obviously there's stuff you can do to mechanise that. But I think you should mechanise all that stuff, and then that naturally allows you to go to bed at the time you want. So I think it's a bit of a false herring to focus on what time you're going to bed in and of itself. Because the truth is, you can go to bed early, not go to sleep, and the alarm goes off and you're still tired, you still don't get up. So that's why I've just focused on the time I am getting up. So it has to be before 7 a.m. Also, just a quick note on going to bed. I think there are some times when it genuinely isn't appropriate to go to bed at a certain time. So let's say my bedtime was, I wanted to go to bed at 10 every night. I think where I am in my life at the moment, I want to allow for certain social things going on where, I stay up a bit later on occasion. I don't want to do it too regularly because I think it's really good to get good sleep, but I don't want to have it as like a habit that I'm all right with breaking. So that's why I put it there. But on the other hand, I still want to be able to get up quite early when I do stay up late. So let's say I stay up late doing something social and I get to bed at like midnight or 1 o'clock. I still want to be able to just tank it for one night, just get up at 6:30 and just get on with the day. I think that it's still realistic to expect myself to do that. Now, it's difficult. Like I say, it's difficult. I might fail to do it for whatever reason, but it's definitely a habit that I can just about stick to. So the next thing is cold exposure. So cold exposure. This is a really key one for me, and this could be a number of things. So the reason I haven't put a cold shower is because I'm moving to Oxford in a few days, and there's a river nearby. There's a river nearby here, so I might be able to go for a swim or something like that. But some kind of immersion in cold water, I think it goes quite well with getting up early because it's a great way to just shock yourself awake quite quickly. And it's quite nice. I mean, I quite enjoy taking a cold shower. It's actually quite a nice experience, I think, when you get over the pain. So that's the next one. And then the third one is exercise. So exercise, obviously, very self-explanatory. This should be with everyone, really. I basically think that you want to exercise every day of your life, basically, in some degree. And you can, we could get into a debate about what exactly exercise should look like how much of it should you do. For me, I think the key with exercise is just having a wide enough definition of what it is. So for a while, I never had like a physical habit tracker of it, but I baked it into my routine that I go to the gym every day. And that was great for a short period when I really wanted to specifically advance in the gym. But I'm at a stage in my life now where I want to slightly diversify my sort of skill set in physical activity. So I want to focus on things like stretching. That's basically it. I want to be more flexible, and so I think you don't really need to go to the gym for that. And I want to allow myself more sort of wiggle room to what exactly I can call exercise, because I do believe that becoming flexible will have a massive knock-on effects further on in my life. So that's exercise, and so that could be going to the gym, that could be going for a run, or it could be just if I really don't have time or whatever reason, it could literally be just getting on a yoga mat and just practicing deep squats and sitting cross-legged and sitting on my thighs and stuff like that, and just sort of chilling there, maybe even watching a video or listening to some music or something while I'm doing it, but as long as I'm like taking it seriously. So that could still count. And I had that recently where I was in a hotel room, and I didn't really have any gym clothes on me to exercise, but I thought I should realistically be doing some exercise, and so I decided to just do some stretching, and I just sort of did some deep squats, did some sitting cross-legged, very basic stuff. I'm still very early on in my journey with stretching, and I watched some YouTube videos while I did it, and it sounds a bit like cope, I do think that's the minimum, but I thought about it and I thought, is it any different from going for a walk or a run or going to the gym and listening to music? And I thought it is genuinely beneficial that I am more flexible, that I can stretch. So that's the decision I've taken. So that's the third one. And the fourth one is make a video. So this is just basically make a video on this channel. I had this as a kind of, not as an actual habit tracker thing, but as just something that I did as a routine, was upload a video every day. And I did this for quite a long time, and I stopped being so regular with it, I'd say about 6 months ago. I began to sort of ease off a bit and prioritise other things a bit more. And I started thinking like, well, with these videos, is it really about quantity? Surely it's more about quality as well. And I began to think that a lot of my videos that I was doing when I was starting out, weren't as good, and I wasn't focusing enough on quality. I was just doing a video and then pushing it out and not thinking very much of it. But I look back on the videos that I did then, and I haven't done a full deep dive. That's one thing I want to do is go in and have a bit more of a deep dive on my old videos. But when I sort of look at the YouTube analytics and sort of study it, the times when my channels had the most growth, the only thing I can really find to predict that is the more videos I upload, not necessarily the quality of videos. Like, there are some months where I upload lots of videos that are pretty rubbish, really. But I think, that was a bad month. But then those are the months where I got like an increased subscriber count. And you could just argue, it's the videos from earlier are starting to gain effects. It's not because of that month; it's because of the months before. But there's definitely a correlation there. I definitely think it seems reasonable to expect that if I want this channel to grow, then what I should do is just focus on consistency. And this is part of a change in perspective I have now. Like, I decided I really want to focus on this channel. I want to grow the subscriber count. And I want to put an active effort into doing that. I want to see how much I can really influence that by my own effort. And so the thing to do is just to get back into the routine of doing that every day. So that's on there as well. It's a habit. Record a video every day. So that's number 4. And number 5, which is the last one, is call a friend. So the reason I put this down is because, and this is probably the most interesting one. So the reason I put this down is because I've noticed recently that my social life has just really taken a dip. Like, I've stopped focusing on it. It's funny because I guess socialising is not really something that people tend to put a lot of effort into. It's kind of in the same way that you would with going to the gym or anything else. It's kind of seen as just the fun part. But I think, especially if you're quite individualistic and you can lock in something pretty quickly, like me, like I really can just lock in something and sort of forget about peripheral things like social life. It can actually be quite beneficial to start viewing your social life as another habit that you have to train, another muscle that you have to train. And I was thinking to myself about my social life. And there are things that I want to improve in my social life, and I do think I want to have sort of more autonomy over my social life. I think I do go along with things quite a lot, and I want to be more individualistic. Not individualistic, but make my needs more obvious. Like if I go to a social event and it's time to leave, and then I stay because I feel bad saying I want to leave, that kind of thing, then that's good. I want to get in the habit of doing that. So there are things that I want to improve on my social life, but I compared it to the gym because I was kind of deferring like socializing until I got to a point where I felt ready to sort of tackle the issue of like what being more assertive in social situations. But then I looked at it and I thought, well, hang on a minute. There are many things that I want to improve about the gym, and there's a lot of technique stuff that I need to improve. There's a lot of, if I got a PT, I'd learn lots of ways to work out faster, more efficiently, that closer aligned to my goals. But at the end of the day, there's some point where I just think, you know what, it's not perfect, but I'm just going to go anyway and see what happens and just do the best I can. And I've realised that I have to take the same approach with my social life, because if you read these studies about people who live the longest and health and stuff like this, social life is right at the top. It's more than physical fitness is like, do you have a good social life? And what I realised is I was being a bit like these people who say, who defer about going to the gym, who say, I'll go when I'm more prepared, or when I have more time, or when I have the money for a PT or something like that. And I just thought, I'm so proud about my attitude towards going to the gym. I'm so proud that I'm able to just go, even if things aren't perfect, even if I'm not doing things perfectly. And, as I should be. And I think there's a difference between recognizing that you want to improve something and going anyway and just not doing it because it's not perfect. And anyway, so I realised I was being a bit of a hypocrite. And I decided, especially this period of my life, there's no reason why I can't set aside time to dedicate to socialising. I think it is important. I'm not... The stuff that I want to do is not so important that I can't call a friend. So anyway, that's on there as well. And this is literally what I'll do is I'll just make a list of people I haven't caught up with in a while. Just have it on my phone, and every day just ring one of them and see if they pick up. And I only have to ring once. If they don't pick up, then that's fine. But I need to press phone and let it go to voicemail, or if it's not a voicemail, let it ring for at least a minute or 2 minutes or however long it will be. Probably a minute is probably enough. But I have to at least just press call and see what happens. And then if they pick up, have a chat with them. And it's a very small thing. It's ingenious because sometimes you only need to really call someone for 5 minutes just to keep the friendship going. So it's a very small thing to do, and there's no loss of my time. It's not like I have to travel anywhere to do this. It could literally take 5 minutes to do. And I have a very sort of easy way to... it's a very easy way to keep my social life high up on the agenda. And what I realised is, there's still some resistance to doing this, calling someone. It takes effort. You got to, you got to go out of your way. You got to sort of be psyched up to talk to someone. But again, with the gym, it's the exact same thing. Do I always feel like going to the gym? No, I don't. But I recognise that it's, or just exercising in general, I recognise that it's important that I do it. So that is... There's no reason why I shouldn't apply that to calling a friend as well. And so there we go, guys. Those are the 5 things that I've got on the habit tracker. I've leaned on the side of easiness. I think I'll be able to do all of these consistently, to be honest. Which is funny because I actually think it's good to have a little bit more challenge in a habit tracker. So I've got a bit more space. I might add a bit more at the end, or maybe I'll do another video and tell you guys how it's gone. But I just thought I need to start with something. So there's a lot of things that I haven't put on here that I might just talk about. So I haven't put on things like meditation. I haven't put on... meditation's the big one that came to mind that I haven't put on. I haven't put on sunlight exposure and stuff like that. And the reason I've done that is because I just want to focus on stuff that has the most return on investment for me. And I think there are a lot of self-improvement things that there's no question there's scientific evidence that they're beneficial, like meditation, like getting sunlight first thing in the morning. But through my own experimentation, I've not found them to make as big an impact on my mood as getting up early, as cold exposure does, as exercise does, as calling a friend does, frankly. And for that reason, I've just decided to be a real purist about it. All these things on the habit tracker are there because they genuinely make a difference to me, and I can see that in my life. And I know that meditation and sunlight and all these other things, they do work. There's no question about it. And probably they do work in a way that I've just not paid attention to, I've not realised. But I just want to put the maximum return on investment possible. And I feel like if I start distracting myself with stuff that, for whatever reason, has a lower return on investment, then I'm going to take the rest of it less seriously. So that's why I've not included other things like that. But yeah, there you go, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And hopefully you've taken something away from this.